Okay, you've made it past part one, which is really tough, but part two is going to get a little bit tougher, okay? So part two has a lot going on. At first, we just had Mr. Burton, okay? And now we're combining Mrs. Armstrong and Mr. Tang, okay? So there's multiple classrooms. Now we have 1, 2, 3 classrooms, okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is, again, using cubes, okay? I want you to pause it right now and go back and use cubes on the problem, okay? That means if I walk over to your paper right now and you are past the 1 minute mark or whatever we are at, I should see numbers circled, underline the question or task, and boxing your math action words, okay? Those at least I should be able to see, okay? And we're going to talk about how to evaluate the problem, and then we'll eventually solve it with strategies. Not all in this video, but we will get there. So pause the video, go do cubes. All right, you paused it and did cubes, I hope. Okay, if you didn't, seriously, go do it. All right, so some of the things that stood out to me is, well, first of all, Mr. Tang and Mrs. Armstrong are not as prepared as Mr. Burton, so they did not order as much, okay? That actually tells me that, hey, if I'm splitting it up between all the classes, they didn't order as much. Kids aren't getting as many now, okay? It'd be like Mr. Bushler comes really prepared and brings a bunch of marshmallows for a marshmallow party. And Mrs. K and Mr. Bray, they forgot, so they only took the marshmallows they were having out of their hot chocolate that morning, and then they put it into the whole total pile. Well, not every kid's going to get as much, okay? But I know they would never do that. All right, so now we have 3 classrooms. One of the important things is it says they have the same number of students. So this is how they connect. The performance task connects to the next one. We have to remember Mr. Burton had 32 kids. That means Mr. Tang and Mrs. Armstrong had 32 kids. That means if I combine those all together, how many kids are there? Well, you're going to need to add those up. You might be able to do it in your head. 96, okay? I'm not as worried about that, but there's 96 fifth graders. Okay? Now, we're splitting all of our stuff. Well, how much do we have? They said they want to divide the pens and pencils between all 3 classes evenly. Okay? There are 1,152. Oh, sorry, that's the pen side. Man, I really get those confused. 1,152 pencils and 216 pens. Okay? That means from the last problem, we got to be thinking about, oh, well, we've already split up 512 of those, okay? And we can keep that in mind. That can help us solve this. But now we got to split up a few more between more kids. Okay, so how are we going to do that? All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to look at the first one. It says, how many pencils will each student receive? Okay, so evaluating the problem. Well, we know there are 1,152 pencils. We know there are 96 fifth graders, and now we need to split it up. Okay, so the next video is going to be about how to solve how to do that. All right?